So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at something a little bit different for our channel. This is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, and this is from Cephalofair Games. So we love Gloomhaven. I got the big box on its second Kickstarter. We've played that thing to death. I cannot tell you how many times we've played it. We completed all of the storylines that were available to us, completed everything, opened up. There's still a couple of characters we haven't opened up, but I cannot tell you how much we've played that. We play that, it's me, Grant, and our father-in-law. We all play it together. This is a cooperative dungeon crawler progressive campaign game. And as I say here, it's fully cooperative fantasy campaign adventure. So, what is Jaws of the Lion? What is Gloomhaven? Gloomhaven, huge massive box, $120 when I originally got it. It has almost over 100 missions because I got all the extra solo ones. This is basically Gloomhaven small. I don't say Gloomhaven light because the rules are the same. It's just a less intimidating box. There's 25 missions in here. The campaign's set just in the city of Gloomhaven. I have all the outlying stuff, or as much of it. There's 4 characters in here, and they've just kind of tightened everything up to make it a bit more accessible to people. So what we're going to do, we're going to open it up and I'll walk you through some of the bits and pieces and some of the differences from the original game and what you can expect from this. So this is a new release in 2020. The game supports up to 4 people. Even the small box, this is a 4-inch box. Even this small game is very, very heavy. And there's still a ton in it, more than you would get in most regular board games. So they say it's 30 minutes per player. That's probably... The problem with gauging time, everything's scenario-based, and some of the scenarios go quicker than others. Sometimes you lose really quick, sometimes you win really quick. But 30 minutes per player, it's not bad. That's probably a decent representation. You get a ton of stuff in this box. You're going to get 4 different characters, and these characters are all unique. These are not characters that have just been copy-pasted over from the main game. They've made everything new, the missions are new, the campaign is new. So there is a ton of good stuff. You know, this is not just they've sliced off a chunk from the other game and given it to you in a small box. It's entirely new. We've played all the other ones. We're going to play all of this as well. So let's open the box. And you would have seen the lid doesn't really fit on the box because there's still so much stuff in it. It's just a lot. So we got a little bit of Bewerbung. So this is there's an audio narration app that you can get for this, so it reads you the stories and all the connecting text. There's also Frosthaven, which is a sequel to Gloomhaven. This is big box. I backed this on Kickstarter. We got that coming next year. Then we have a little welcome to Gloomhaven. So this is a little intro. Looks like this walks you through what to put in all of the plastic trays, how to store everything reasonably well, what all the different pieces are. Again, more on the back as well. So there are some secret boxes you're not supposed to open. There is a legacy element to this game as well. Okay, so we have the Learn to Play guide. And this is, I think that's different. I think that this is different from the core game. The game that I have, it's just, you get a big old rulebook and everything's in there. And it teaches you how to play as you go, but this is nice. They teach you what everything is, how all the monsters move, because they're controlled on an AI that you just have to follow, basically. So that's a Learn to Play. But then they also have, it's kind of Fantasy Flight style. Then you have a glossary, like an index of all the rules, which are done, it looks like alphabetically, which is nice. I actually kind of like that style. That seems to be very in vogue in board games at the moment. You have kind of a, hey, let's actually play the game, and then we're going to study some of the nuances of rules as new bits and pieces come up. And that works especially in this game, because you start off as a basic character, and your character will eventually progress, and as scenarios open things up, you'll see more bits and pieces. Okay, we have 2 little ring-bound, I said little, this one's quite chunky. We have 2 ring-bound scenario books, and this one's the supplemental one. I'll show you why. So in the main game, it's a tile game. There's a little book, and you say, we're doing mission 72. Great, flip to page 72, and you set out the tiles that it shows you. They've eliminated that in this game, and I think it's a really positive move. And I'm going to show you just the first one. What they did is they just printed the scenario in the book. So this is the board you'll actually be playing on. I don't want to show you too much more than that, but suffice to say, all of these are scenarios, but instead of making them just fit on 2 pages, this is what the supplemental one is it's more. You stick this on the end of things. Don't want to show you more than that, because it gets spoilerific, and that's half the fun of this game, is exploring what it is. But for the first mission, it's called Roadside Ambush. It's got all this text in it. So this is the stuff, if you have that audio narration app, it'll read it all to you, and I presume it's well done. Everything else about this game seems to be. And it's got these little helpful tips for new players, which those run out pretty quickly, it looks like. They've got the tips on the first 2, 3, 4. Some of them do not, they start to stop having those. But you've got different terrain types here that you'd have to jump over to get on or move through. You're going to set up, these are enemies. You're going to set those up based on the number of players that you have. And white means they're a basic enemy. Yellow means they're an elite enemy. They're stronger, basically. So it's really easy, and you'll just play on here. It's just, this is your game board. And I cannot tell you how nice that is, not having to leaf through everything, set it up. This makes setup and tear down much, much quicker. This reminds me in a way of all games, Silver Bayonet from GMT, where there's the big board, but half of the small scenarios are on little scenario cards like this, which is just like, instead of getting the big board out, you just play on this little card. This is like that. I actually really love this as a device. I think it's really, really good. And I know that they're trying to work Gloomhaven and Frosthaven onto these as well. It's a bit more difficult because I think these were purpose designed for this, and those have some very big sized scenarios. So we'll see how that works out. Now, the next thing we have, this is a single, like a really thick board. This is actually kind of your campaign mission track. So this is the city of Gloomhaven, and I cannot tell you how nice this is. They've colorized it, it's more detailed than what you had in the old game. And you can see here, there's also a grid over it's numbers and letters to cross-reference an area. And so you'll have like, oh, you're going on a mission, and the mission's going to be in D5. And there'll be a set of stickers in here, and you'll literally put a sticker on D5, and that'll show you the location with the number of the mission that you're going to go to. And eventually this will all be covered in stickers of the things that you've done and seen. And it's fun to see that. But this is actually a really, really beautiful board, especially compared, frankly, to the board that comes in Gloomhaven. I really appreciate that. Hopefully Frosthaven's like that too. Just a bumper extra niceness to it. Now we have a bunch, and I mean a bunch of punch boards, and this is probably half as many punch boards as were in the main game. These are I don't know if you can see this. These are slightly satin and glossy, which is quite nice. My ones, the other game aren't. It's very minor difference, but it makes it probably adds maybe an extra layer of protection, a bit fancy. So the red markers are damage markers. These ones are those monies, those are coins. These are obviously bear traps, and you'll put the bear traps out on the map as you want. These are really, really thick, and they're very easy to punch out. And again, there's a integral organizer here, which I appreciate as well. Here we have a bunch of status markers: disarmed, stunned, strengthened. What's that? There's a bunch of these: burned, poisoned, all that kind of stuff. Treasure chests, more bear traps. These, that's interesting. These are cardboard tokens in this. These were little wooden discs in the main game. These are elements, and if you're a magic user, typically you'll be using these elements to power spells and things like that. It's really neat. Looks like we got some, what is this? This is like acid goo. Don't touch that. Usually not good. And then we've got some enemies. And the enemies in this are cardboard standees. Your figurines are plastic figures, miniatures. And what was nice is, some of these are actually very new. Some of them are not. So things like these black imps, and these snakes, and these vermling Those were in the old game, but these big giant rats, some things are new. Obviously some big bads probably, those are new. And they're double-sided, but they're identical, so everyone can see from no matter what angle you're looking at. Over here we've got some big lumbering corpses. These look like some kind of new vermlings. Big giant golems. These look new. This is new. So this is the little magic tracker. Basically, you have 3 sections on it: inert, waning, and strong. Everything starts here as inert, and as you do things, these magic effects will get stronger. So you might cast a spell that has some effect, some druidic spell, and what that does is it means that the grass element is much stronger in the area, in the terrain, and then someone else might have a card effect that says, if this is strong, or even if it's waning, you can use this as a resource to then like power up your spell, because your spell or your attack might be enhanced by this particular type of energy, or sun energy, or wind, darkness, fire, or ice. It's this nice little sideshow. I really like characters that make use of this. Because they've included that in this, I really hope that it's more than just like one magic user uses them. I hope they all can benefit from that, because this is so fun. I don't know, that's an aspect of the game I really, really enjoy. More big bads, so we got more golems there. More, no idea what that is. No idea what that is, but it looks awesome. Big black ooze type things. These are just so cool. I think these are, oh gosh, I can't remember what they're called. I think they're some kind of evil spirits or shadows, something like that. They are living spirits, that's what they are. Oh, oops. So these are new. I think this is just a way to help track everything as to who's in what. So these are all the different types of monsters, and then a demolitionist, hatchet, void warden, and the red guard. I presume those 4, those are your characters. Oh, I wonder if that's for tracking initiative. Oh, that would be very smart if they did. You line them up in the order of initiative, because that does it's easy to forget that. So having those for initiative tracking will be very good if that's what those are for. No idea what these are. Probably event tokens of some form. And this looks like a different type of terrain. It looks like it's some kind of shattered wood or a pile of sticks or something. Very nice. So, here's the stickers. And I think these are regular stickers. Yeah, they are. So there's 25 stickers, because there's 25 missions. And basically what you'll be asked to do, you say, oh, you completed this mission. Well, you unlocked this mission, so it'll tell you, put this one on here. And then you go there, and then you do the next mission. It's mostly just to help track where you are, but it's also, it looks cute and shows you your progress. I think it's a nice little addition. I like that kind of stuff. For Gloomhaven, there is removable sticker sets. I don't know if there is for that, I just don't know for this one. So that way it's easier to replay, because once you put all the stickers on the board, you can't get them off. Okay, so this is our little counter tray, which it's very deep and everything's squared off. Again, in that initial manual, whatever I've done with it, it gives us a little guide as to what goes in each space. So that's, again, very useful that that's integral, instead of having to use a trillion baggies. They still give you a trillion baggies, and you will need them. At least they give you something for all the other bits and pieces. I think I have mine in like a little Plano box, and then I have all my bad guys in like a GMT tray, but that won't fit in this box, I don't think. It might be small, but there's a ton of little baggies for all the enemy counters, or standees. We have 4, and these are health and experience point trackers. So you have a health wheel, it goes from 0 up to 26. I don't know if I've ever got to 26 before. And then you have experience on this side, which is 0 all the way up to probably 26 as well, I would imagine. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on here for that. You get 4 of those. If you're playing up to 4, you'll need them. we have a bunch of standees, and these are they're actually very thick standees. And these are for the enemies. Again, white for normal, yellow for elite. Okay, this stack, these are the characters, and we might open one of them just to show you. Everything else here, a bunch of cards, a bunch of boxes. Okay, these are the miniatures, and they keep everything in boxes, partly for storage, but in the main game, you know, you start with like the 6 starting classes, and there's like 10 extra classes which are all sealed, and you can't open them until you meet certain requirements. It's pretty cool. So let's open up, we'll just open up one of these, but the miniatures are grand. So this is the hatchet. Get him in focus. He's very nicely detailed, he's a good size, and he looks like he's an archer. I think he's an Inox. I think that's what his race is, because this isn't generic fantasy. They've created all their own new races and stuff like that, and everything. It's not just D&D, basically. I like that it's different. So he's going to be pretty cool. Looks like called the hatchet. Might be like a rangery hunter type. That's neat. But he's got the little hatchet icon, and that's going to match. Of course, it's the last one. The hatchet symbol on here. So we'll open this one. We'll keep the others sealed just for our excitement. So this is a big cardboard envelope, and you open it up, whoop, and you know there's no sticker on here. On the expansion, like on the other guys, there's stickers, so you can't open them. Alright. Ooh. Interesting. Okay. They've got some really cool stuff in here. So, this is your little player board that you have next to you. You might keep your money or other tokens and conditions on here as well. This tells you, based on what level you're at, level 1 through 9, this is how many starting hit points you have down here. And this is a card game. So you've got a discard pile, your active cards that you've got played out in front of you, and these are your cards which are lost forever for that scenario, and then any small card items that you'll have out. So this is just kind of a placeholder for your play space. You get a set of 5 counters, and these are generic counters in a sense. They have your symbol on them, but they are multi-use. They don't have anything on them, just your symbol. So a card might say, place a token on an enemy. It might say, place a token on a friend, place a token on yourself. And the card will explain what the token's effects are. Some characters use those a lot more than others, but every character has one. You also get a little pad, and the pad has, 5-6 sheets on it. So yeah, this is an Inox hatchet. And again, you track your experience and your level, your XP notes, how much gold you have, any items you might have. And then you have these perks. As you gain experience, as you go up levels, as you complete tasks and like dungeon achievements, you get to tick off any boxes that you choose, and these will enhance your play deck. This is one of my favorite aspects of the game, is you have this little attack deck of these small cards, and they'll have bonuses like +0, +1, +2, -1. And if you get a perk, it might say, remove 2 -1 cards. And you can do that twice. There's 2 little boxes next to it. Or it might be, replace 1 +0 card with 1 +0 stun card. So you get rid of a neutral card, and you add one that has a stun effect to it. And you can pick and choose the order in which you do any of these. Replace a +1 with a +3. I mean, that's... it just makes you better as you grow, as you get perks, so you're incentivized to do your little achievements. It's one of the best parts. Character progression is something we love about this game. Okay, I'm gonna open this out, because some of these are slightly different. Okay, so you have a nice little player reference. I think that might be new, for the different conditions that you can and can't have, and symbols and what they mean. And A. Okay, we're gonna start with, alright, have we labeled D? What? Okay. we're going to go with these. Okay. One. So you start with a hand, and the hand size is... They listed it somewhere. Does it say on the back? You have all this flavor text. I can't remember where they said it. Oh, 10. You have a hand of 10 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Hand of 10 cards. And these all have a 1 on them. You're level 1, that's what you're starting out with. And all these cards have a bunch of stuff on them. We'll show you kind of some simple ones. So you play, because what you're going to do on your turn is you're going to choose 2 cards, and you play them. And you pick, once you reveal them, you pick one to be your initiative. So this one has an initiative of 24, this one's 25. Those are both fairly quick. They go from 0 to 99. Each card, generally speaking, and this isn't always true, has an attack and some form of movement at the bottom. An attack, some sort of movement at the bottom. There are cards which break those rules, but generally speaking, that's what you can expect. So and what you do is you play both these cards, and you play the top on one of them and the bottom on the other. And you can make that decision when it's your turn to play. You've chosen these 2, but you might have thought, I'm going to do this and this, but when your turn comes around, you might be like, oh, I'm going to do this and this, or I'm going to do this and this. The order in which you do them, also up to you. So, this is attack 3, range 3. You're going to, from where you are, count 3 hexes, you're going to do an attack, and it's going to do 3 damage. It's real simple. This one, you're going to do attack 2, move 2. I think that dotted line might be an or. That's very interesting, because that's a new aspect to it. They used to just say or, but I think they've just replaced it with a dotted line. Move 3, push 2. No, they've done that both. Interesting. I'll have to look that up, of how they've changed that. Move 3, push 2. I'm going to move 3 spaces. If I'm push 2, target 1 adjacent enemy. If I'm adjacent to an enemy, I literally shove them back, they move back 2 spaces. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. With this one, you do attack 3, and the grey hex is you, and the 2 red hexes are enemies. So you can attack 3 against 2 enemies that are next to you, and it has to be in this pattern. You can't attack this guy and then the flanking guy behind you. It has to be the 2 that are next to each other. And then you get this star, you get 1 experience. So you go to your experience tracker, and you get 1 experience. Because that was an awesome thing, you did a good thing. But basically, as you grow, as you level, you've got all these X cards which you can switch out. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. You've got all these bigger cards that you can add in. And then, do not open this pack of cards until this character reaches level 5. So those cards went up to 4. Once you get to level 5, you can open these. And it says there's further instructions. Again, I like this kind of stuff. And then there's also, on top of that, there's going to be more cards that you can add in. There'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 level cards. The little do not open this pack until you are directed to do so. So that's going to stay closed. But these are the mini attack cards that you're going to get from your perks, because what you'll start with is a generic deck, and everyone's got the same deck. And basically, when you do an attack, say I do that attack 3, I'm going to do 3 damage, and I'm going to pull a card, and this one says times 2, so I'm going to do 6 damage. Or I'm going to pull a card, and it says -1, so I'm going to do 2 damage. Or I'm going to pull a card, and it says +1, I'm going to do 4 damage. Real simple, but the more you add in, the more you thin your deck, the more you get rid of your bad ones, the better it gets. These are blessings. You can get curses, which means you do no damage. It's like a fumble, basically. And every deck starts with a natural double damage and a natural fumble in it as well. But the attacks are... It's a nice little thing. You flip through your deck. At some point, you're going to get a good thing. At some point, you're going to get a bad thing. That's just part of how the game goes. But you've got 2 decks of cards that are associated with your character, basically. Your abilities, and then your fighting... I don't know, bonus, basically. Again, as you progress, that's going to get better. You're going to weed out bad cards, you're going to add good cards, or you're going to add effects, which are probably going to chain on top of your abilities that you've got. Really fun aspect to the game. One of my favorite parts of it. The rest of the stuff that you're going to get in the box here... So, there's 4 secret boxes. Box A, B, C, and D. And I'll be honest, with the way that they do these games, I have no idea what's in those. I could have an educated guess, but with all the stuff we opened in Gloomhaven, some of it was very surprising, or like, oh, which it's just nice. You get that element of surprise, something happens, it's very, very, very cool. Here we've got, these are our enemy AI cards. And we're going to open this up. And this is part of the thing that I think starts to scare people, is there are a lot of components to this game. They've reduced some with how the maps work, but what's nice about this is there's just fewer enemies. Oh, that's nice. There's some little card dividers here. Encountered events, unavailable items, and monster attack modifiers. So we can put these little card dividers in here to divide those up. That's actually quite nice, because I have, again, that's the kind of quality of life stuff that they've improved over the base game. So we have these are little envelopes into which you slip the monsters that are in your scenario. So the living corpses are basically they're double-sided. You have level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, 5, 6, and 7. And these levels are basically, they're based on an average of your levels as characters. So if you're all level 4, you're going to fight a certain number of monsters. If one of you's level 9 and one of you's level 2, you're going to take an average, because the good guy's going to be really good against those mediocre monsters, and the little guy's going to have a bit of a struggle, but if you work together as a team, you'll be able to defeat them. So, based on what level you're at, you might slide this in at level 2, and basically just blocks off everything else. These are the monster's stats, and you'll see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because you might have up to 6 of them in a scenario, or there might be up to 10 for some of the smaller monsters, like some of those hordes. And basically, all the monsters that are out, I don't know if you can see these. Wait, I don't have those ones exactly. But the monsters, this is monster 4, number 5, number 6, and the other sheet had 1, 2, and 3 on them. So the little standees correspond to one of these. And when you do damage to, I attacked that one, you do the damage to that particular. So you can have little stacks of damage counters on these. Now, when they go to move, again, this is where you start getting into some of the complexity of the game, or at least just the tracking. I wonder, where's my living corpse? I got living spirits, vermling scouts, living corpse. Okay, so living corpse has a little deck, and this is this little AI deck, and every monster in the game and every boss has its own little deck. Basically, at the beginning of each round, you're going to shuffle these of the scenario, and this is going to tell you they have an initiative of 21. And when it's their turn to act, each one of them is going to do these instructions. So you do all the instructions, and then, the later initiative people go. On the next turn, you flip another one. They have an initiative of 47, and they're just going to move at +1 speed. Normally they move at a 1, so they're going to move twice. And they're going to attack. Normally they attack with a 3, but the attack is -1. They expended a lot of their energy moving. It's hasty assault. They ran a bit further, but their attack was weaker as a result. And then we're going to get to this one, nothing special. They just move at +0 and attack at +0. So they're just going to move and attack with their base stats. However, we've got this little reshuffle symbol. So once we're done with that, we're going to reshuffle those. And once you reshuffle this, you're going to you literally shuffle it all in, you cycle through. So eventually you'll see their things, and you might be able to predict the kind of things they'll be able to do, but not, you'll be able to game this many cards and this many orders. So there's an element of learning the characteristics of your enemies as you explore and as you play this game more, which I find interesting. It reminds me of almost a little video game aspect of things. But there's a stack for each enemy. There's a whole bunch of them. These are a whole bunch of enemy types. Some of these are big red ones, which those are bosses. Are those double-sided yet? No, yeah. So you can get into some pretty nasty fights in those. Those are the bad guys. I don't know if it's official. I think there's an unofficial Gloomhaven tracker that takes care of all that for you, but I don't know, we just play manually. Then there's this small deck of event cards, which there's, okay, they only have city events, and that's because the game is set in the city. In the core game, there's a deck of road events as well. If your adventure is outside of the city, which most of them are, frankly, you do a road event instead of a city event. But basically, before you start each mission, you're going to shuffle these up, and you're going to have a city event to take care of. And there's a whole bunch of text. You might have a couple options, or you choose which option you have without knowing the consequences. Then you flip the card over, and the back of the card will have the 2 different resolutions based on the one you chose. No backsies. And I don't know how it is here, but in Gloomhaven, you know, if you've got a special character in your party, or a certain character, I should say, or if you've done a previous event, some things might knock on from certain things, or based on the choices that you make, you might unlock a special random thing, or an item, or an event. Really, really fun little bits and pieces. This is just cheeky extra layer of story, which, again, I really like those. Those are really cool. And then I think the last thing that I can show you, at least, there's 2 little decks here. This first one, these are your scenario achievements. Basically, you're going to shuffle these, and at the beginning of the scenario, you'll get 2. Well, at least I think that's what it's. You'll get 2, and you choose 1. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to achieve one of these goals. So let's say I'm going to choose the Die Hard. Never allow your hit points to drop below half your maximum hit point value rounded up. If you successfully do that, keeping track of that the whole scenario, you get a check mark. And that check mark fills in one of these small boxes here. Once you get 3, you get a perk. So there's 6 opportunities to gain perks from here, and you also have 9 opportunities to gain perks from leveling. If you get everything, I think you can tick almost every single box. But by completing these, and some of them are fairly easy, some of them are hard. That's why they give you 2 and you choose 1. Do any of these have double ticks? Some of the ones in the core game had 2 ticks on them because they were really hard to do. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. It looks like these are all just 1. But if you can achieve these, it's an extra way to get a few unlocks. Just and you know, it adds a little bit of spice as to what you're trying to do or how you're trying to manage your resources. And then the last thing was the items. So the items, I don't think there's any spoilers in this, only because they would be big warnings instead of dividers on here. So there's 36 different types of items, but a lot of them have doubles. So for example, there's 2 of these, two of the eagle eye goggles, 2 of the iron helmets, and these do a whole variety of things. This is a helmet you wear on your head. This is some footwear you wear on your foot. Obviously, you can't wear 2 different types of footwear. This one, during your movement, you may add jump to the entire move action. So you might have move 3 on your card. This adds jump to that, which means you can jump over obstacles. This is a poison dagger. During your melee attack, add poison to an attack. And this is a little tap symbol. You tap it, and then next time you rest, you can get that back. Some of these have a little lost icon on them. This is a one-time use per scenario. During your turn, return one of your discarded cards to your hand. It gives you, that increases the time and your life and your stamina, basically. But you can't use that again in that scenario. And there's a whole bunch of these. These are the starting ones. In Gloomhaven, there's an unconscionable amount of items. There's like 150 or more. And as you progress through the campaign, as the town grows richer, it unlocks those more expensive items as you go through it. This one looks like we got a stack of them. Maybe there's more elsewhere. I don't know. It doesn't look like it immediately, but you get a big set of items. They have a gold cost. As you get gold, you can buy items. It's really simple that way. But basically, that's the game. That's what you get in the box. Again, there's 3 more characters in here as well. Each of them are entirely unique and different. And that's something I will say they do really well in this game, is the characters I've never played two characters that felt the same. Even I've played like two magic users. Their magic and how they used it felt very different. Even the melee classes, none of them are the same. Even the archery, the ranged classes, none of them, no two are identical. And you get a lot of flavor between characters and races and things like that. So there's an absolute ton in here. We're going to play more Gloomhaven. We're going to play this to death. I cannot wait for more because we love this game, frankly. It's a little bit on the crunchy side, I will say that. But that's something that we're totally fine with here in this household. So we will get this to the table. Eventually, we'll probably let you know how it is as well. And this will tie us over until middle of 2021 when we get Frosthaven, in which we'll play that for the next 2 years. So appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Jaws of the Lion. So it's Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. If you want to get into Gloomhaven, but you're scared by the big box, this is an excellent place to start. If you played through Gloomhaven and you want more, this will tie you over until Frosthaven. So I could not be excited to get this to the table and play around with it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.